the All Out Show with Jude, and Lord Sear. We have a special guest on the line.
We got Dr. Streicher. She wrote the book Love, Sex Again, and you can get that on Amazon or go to drstreicher.com. And she is a gynecologist. Welcome to the show, Dr. Streicher.
Well, thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure, and it's nice to have a gynecologist on here because we do every
I
now
bet
and
you don't
then
have too many.
No, we don't. And for as much as we love vagina, we don't have enough gynecologists.
Well, I'm here
I'll tell
to
you
help.
that much. I'm glad because, just a couple weeks ago, we had a guy call up and he was talking about how his wife, didn't get wet with him. And I just was calling him all types of bitches for not being able to get his wife turned on. But maybe there was some science going on in her vagina that was keeping her from getting wet.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I wrote Love, Sex Again thinking this is something that every single woman in America needs to read. But I've changed my mind. I think every guy in America needs to read it, too, because the guys need to know this stuff. They need to understand that if the woman in their life is dry or isn't responding, it's not necessarily because she's not turned on or because she doesn't like him. It's because she might be having a medical problem. It could be that her hormones are, her estrogen tank is empty and she's not lubricating. It could be a medication she's taking. It could be that she has even diabetes or a heart problem. There are so many physical reasons for women to have problems, and people just tend to blame it on themselves, and that's why it's so important for both the men and the women to understand what's going on.
What do you think the percentages are, though?
This is the deal. What we know is if you take all ages, from 20 to 80, we know that 40% of women at some point are going to have some sexual issue. If you start looking at women over the age of 50, well, those numbers start to climb. And right about 50 to 60, it's about 60%. And by the time you get to, the 80-year-old, more often than not, it's the rare person.
They got a
still
dusty
sexually
vagina.
fine.
Once you're 80,
terrible.
it's like a dust. It's like a dust pussy.
Pretty much, the desert storm.
Achoo.
Yeah. So exactly. So it really. Does depend on the age.
Doc, what I'm saying, because most of our listeners are between 18 to 40. How common is it? It's almost like it's kind of like impotence for fucking chicks. It's like chick potence or some shit like that.
That's a new phrase. Well, this is the
Thank
thing.
you.
When you think about 20 or 30-year-olds, you think, okay, if anyone is going to be fabulous sexually, it's going to be a 20 or 30-year-old woman. But did you know that 2 to 3% of women who take birth control pills have vaginal dryness as a result of it? And their doctors don't even tell them this. So these poor women, they're thinking, wait a minute, I'm 25, I'm completely in lust with this guy, and I'm like the Sahara Desert. What's going on here?
What if he goes down on her, though?
It doesn't matter because that's on the outside. Unless he's got a tongue that's a yard long, it's the vaginal walls inside that are actually dry and thin. So these poor women, it's painful. Yeah.
Doc, where does the juice come from? I always wonder that shit. Where does it come from?
I'll tell you, it comes from the vaginal walls. And
so the walls themselves secrete the juice?
Yeah, and what you need for that to happen, you need to have hormones, of course, like estrogen. You also need to have a good blood supply. You need to have intact nerve endings. So it has to be healthy. And this is important for young women, too, is you have to have a normal pH. When you think about who thinks about pH? But, pH is acid-base balance, and sometimes things can throw it off, like even semen has a high pH, and it could cause women to have all kinds of funky vaginal odors and discharge and infections. So it's really, when I talk about vaginal health, particularly for young women, it's about keeping things lubricated, it's about keeping it infection-free, and then it's all going to function better. So this isn't just
Let me jump in here, Doc. Let me jump in here.
Yeah.
Doc, let me jump in. Are there any for instance, for men, if him be rude, horny goat weed, that shit helps you.
Yeah.
It helps with erections. Are there any herbs or anything like that might help promote a wetter vagina?
No, but I'll tell you what will.
There are no herbs, or you're
Zero,
telling me nothing
none,
in this world
nada.
can make a pussy wetter?
Not vitamins. You can take, a bucket full of vitamins, and it's not going to make a difference. Number one, if someone is taking birth control pills, and if that's causing dryness, they got to get off that pill. That's all there is to it, and use something else.
Because what's the point of having it? What's the point of having birth control if your puss is all dried out?
The right lube is key. You know, everyone needs lube at some point in their life, and most people just buy whatever junk they grab on the shelf first. And more often than not, it's sticky and gloppy and awful. And in fact, I did a survey, and I asked guys, what's the kind of lube that you're going to use in a pinch? And you can't even imagine. You know, besides saliva and hair cream and Vaseline and all kinds of awful stuff. So you got to use a decent lube, and the silicone lubes are the best. There's one called Wet Platinum that everyone's going to be sliding away. That's great stuff.
I use a silicone when I used to jack off back in the day.
Silicone is the best, but a lot of people
that shit
don't know
goes
that.
forever. It goes forever, Doc.
Well, that's the point. The water-based stuff, it gets sticky and it gets gloppy. So even in my book, I have a whole chapter just talking about the right lubricants, because even something as simple as that can make all the difference in the world. So forget the vitamins, get the right lube, make sure you're not taking any medications, whether it's birth control pills or antihistamines or anything that's drying you out. And everyone can be slippery. These are all solvable problems.
Doctor, but like you said, like certain things help with sex, like dopamine and all that shit. So aren't there some vitamins that increase the production of that, and that could in turn lead to a wetter vagina?
Not vitamins. But what we do know is that a lot of people are on antidepressants, and everybody knows that antidepressants can kill your sex life. And the reason is because antidepressants can change those things like dopamine and serotonin, and you want a lot of dopamine to have good sex. I always think dopey with love is a good way to remember it, and you don't want.
I gotta disagree with you here. You're so dismissive of
I'm just going with the
some natural shit.
No, I'm just going with the science.
Okay, so you're saying if you eat things that you can't.
Thinking doesn't mean that it works. So you got to go with the science. You got to go with the studies. And there's no study, there's no science that shows that if you take vitamins, that it's going to help with lubrication or libido or anything else. It just doesn't work. Otherwise,
I don't know. I disagree with you. I've taken fucking herbal dick pills that have made my dick harder, and it's not a placebo, and it fucking works.
Show me the science. Show me the science.
I'll show you my dick. I can do that. You know what I mean? I can show you my dick pre and then after, and then we could discuss it.
Yeah. I can tell you for women that's not the answer. And you know what?
I think if you were sponsored by a vitamin, you might fucking agree.
I just want to help women. So it's all about giving them good information, the right answers. Right. And you don't want to send them down a road that's really not going to help them. You want to give them the stuff that really is going to make a difference.
Let's talk about what is getting in the way with orgasms for women. Why is it hard for some women to achieve an orgasm?
Well, part of it is that any woman that thinks that she's going to have an orgasm just from intercourse, it's generally not going to happen. That's just the truth of the matter, is that most women require direct clitoral stimulation to have an orgasm, and it just doesn't happen during plain old intercourse. They have to have either some digital or oral or vibrator or something that's going on. And, we know that, and you know that because you talk about this stuff all the time, but you'd be amazed at the number of women and guys that just don't know that. So when they have sex and the woman doesn't have an orgasm, the poor woman just thinks that there's something wrong with her or that she's doing something wrong, and she doesn't realize that it's not happening because she's not getting stimulated the right way, which is why in my chapter on orgasm I really, pretty much give masturbation lessons and explain to women that they need to understand what to do in order to have an orgasm, and then once they get it, then they can help the guy in their life if he doesn't get it.
You ever heard of a woman putting witch hazel in their vagina?
Yeah. Witch hazel, there are some botanical things that have been shown to help a little bit with increasing clitoral sensitivity. Witch hazel isn't one of them. There's one called Zestra. I don't know if you've heard of that one. That's a botanical that actually does seem to increase sensation and is very helpful. Lubricants, just good old lubricants very often will help. There's a few different devices, but the secret weapon is other than a vibrator, there's this great new product called Intensity, which not only increases the woman's ability to feel clitoral stimulation, but it strengthens the pelvic floor, because when a woman has an orgasm, part of it is she feels that pelvic floor contraction. And if she has a weak pelvic floor, it's not going to work. And Intensity is an over-the-counter device. Well, what it is, it's something she doesn't use it with a guy. She uses it by herself. And it's a device that goes inside the vagina, and it actually has a little electrostimulation, and it makes the pelvic floor contract and relax so it gets stronger at the same time that it's giving her clitoral stimulation. And the way I describe it is an orgasm on steroids. And
is it like forced Kegels or some shit like that?
You know
or
what?
is
You
it-
are exactly on target. It's most women can't do Kegels right, even if they try, and this actually causes the pelvic floor muscles to Kegel and get stronger. And then women who have not been able to have an orgasm after they use this device are able to have orgasms. So there's a lot of solutions out there. It's just a matter of trying different things and knowing what the options are.
What do you do when a girl tastes kind of fucked up or has a strange odor about her? How much is that? Is hygiene or food
no,
or
it's
what?
not hygiene. She could take showers 40 times a day. It wouldn't matter. What's going on, as I mentioned, pH. If the pH is off, then she's going to have that funky taste. And in fact, I do surveys, and the answers to the surveys are in the book. And one survey question I asked guys, over 3,000 guys, do you avoid oral sex because you don't like the way that your partner tastes? 30% of guys said
God
they
damn.
30% said they avoid
That's
it.
a lot.
It's a
That's
lot.
a lot of dudes. That's 1 in 3.
So bottom line is, if a woman tastes funny, chances are she has an infection. It's not because she doesn't shower, although that can, that's a different issue. And there's a product which is very cool called Refresh, REPHRESH, which normalizes pH. So it gets rid of that funky smell. But if it persists, then she's got to get to her doctor and see if she's got
What's
an
in it?
infection.
What's in the Refresh?
What's in it? It's a gel that causes the pH to become normal, because the normal pH in the vagina is 3.5 to 4.5, and if it gets high, then the good bacteria, the lactobacilli, they all get killed off, and the smelly bacteria, the Gardnerella, start to grow. So what Refresh does is it buffers the pH in the vagina so the lactobacilli, the good guys, can march in again, and the bad guys get killed off. So it's as simple as that, but it has nothing to do with showering, and you don't want to douche. Douching is the worst. Douching will make it worse.
Douching is bad for the vagina. It dries it out, right?
It dries it out. It causes infection. It just makes it worse.
Don't douche. I've noticed that different ethnicities have different ways about their vagina. Like,
well, a lot of African American women are told that they're supposed to douche, and we're trying to, of course, get the word out there that that's not necessary. They think it's just as important as brushing their teeth, and because their mothers tell them to. And in fact, that's not the case. We know that it's problematic, and there's no reason for a woman to douche on a regular basis, and it only creates issues.
Let's take a couple phone calls. We got Mike calling from Austin. Oh shit, lost the doctor. God damn it.
What the?
Yep, that was me. She wasn't locked. That fucking sucks. Yeah, we're gonna get her back on the line. We got Mike calling from Austin. Hold on, hold tight, Mike. We're gonna get to you in a second as soon as we get the doctor back on the phone.
Okay,
I still don't agree with her. Like, I don't agree with her that there's like no vitamins. So she's telling me that like fucking before pharmaceuticals came out, you just couldn't get your pussy wetter.
Jude,
Like, is that what you're trying to tell me? I don't believe that shit.
For that, I seen commercial for vitamins in the vagina.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe she doesn't know. Just to dismiss that shit all the way, I just can't agree with her.
I seen this commercial. I was like, yeah. Oh wow.
888-742-3345. But it's cool to have a gynecologist on this motherfucker.
Very cool.
I feel like she's plugging a lot of. I feel like she's sponsored by a lot of things.
Here she go.
Yo, Doc. Doc.
Hi, I'm back.
Good to have you back. Here's the question: are you sponsored by all these things that you're plugging, or are you just
no? And in fact, I talk about that in my book. No one paid to be in the book.
Okay.
And they couldn't pay to be in the book. And believe me, people asked if they could pay to be in the book. So no.
These are just things that you like. All right, I had to ask because most time people don't drop like the name brand of something. Let's go to Mike in Austin. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. Hey, Doc, I got a question for you. My wife is on an IUD, and you said drop the pill if it's drying her out. But my question is it normal for her to? She's basically bleeding, and she's been bleeding for the last 2 months on this IUD. Should we just get it out and just go to a different form of birth control?
Great question. IUDs don't dry people out, so that's good. But, of course, you've got the bleeding problem going. Sometimes when an IUD first goes in, there's some bleeding, and you just got to wait it out. So it depends on how long she's had it. But
is blood a good lubricant?
I'm sorry, what?
Is blood like a good lubricant?
No, it's not. It's not. And, you know,
Why
the
not?
main thing is you got to find out if she's just bleeding because it's a new IUD and her body's getting used to it, or if there's a problem. So if she just got it in, you know, talk to her doctor, but it might just be a matter of waiting it out. But if she's had this IUD for, you know, months or years, it's time to get in and see what's up, because you're not supposed to keep bleeding with an IUD.
Even if, like, is it from, yo, Doc, even like from sex, like banging on that IUD, or is it just like...
Not banging. The
normal?
IUD's inside the uterus, so even like
Oh.
the world's largest penis is not going to bang on the IUD.
Word. Okay. thanks for that. I was just with a chick. It felt like she had like an earring inside of her fucking, like a hoop, like a pirate shit inside of her shit. What would that might have been?
It's in the uterus, not in the vagina.
I don't know I don't know. You said I was saying I was touching her uterus?
No. The IUD's inside the uterus.
Okay, what was I touching then?
Maybe the string. Are you feeling something poking you?
Yeah.
If you're feeling something poking you, it's either an IUD that's coming out, in which case you've got to get to her doctor, or sometimes the little string got cut too short and it pokes the penis.
It was with my fingers. Because my penis is not that long. It does get hard with the yohimbe root, but it is not that
long. Yeah, if something's poking, and if it's not a string, then she needs to check it out.
All right, let's go to D in Detroit. D.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead. You're on with the Dr. Streicher.
So I had a question. Are probiotics a good alternative to the Refresh gel? Like the vaginal care probiotics?
Yes.
Like Garden of Life?
Yes, but this is the deal. The probiotics that you use for your gut, for your colon, you don't want to use the same probiotic for your vagina because it's a different strain. So there's a specific probiotic called Pro B, which is actually made by the same people that make Refresh, and that is a fabulous vaginal probiotic, and it's a little capsule, and you take one a day, and a lot of women, that just keeps things right in balance.
All right, let's go to Melissa in Kansas. Go ahead, Melissa.
Hey, how you doing, Ru?
What up,
I'm
though?
kind of with you with the not taking vitamin thing. I take vitamin B6 as far as get my vagina wet, and it works for me. I'm not saying that she doesn't know what she's talking about, because I mean, obviously she's a doctor, but everybody's body works different.
You know, and my answer to you is if it works for you, go for it, but I don't want other women to think that that's going to work because, sadly, there's no science that shows that it does. There's no harm in taking vitamins, be my guest, but it's not a solution that I would give a woman who's having problems because there's no science that shows it's going to help.
You mean there's no test that pharmaceutical companies did to test to make sure
No.
it
I'm
works?
talking about people that look at vitamins, and there's actually a great website that looks at the science behind this stuff. And that looks at vitamins. And, boy, I wish they did work. It would make my life easier. I tell everyone to take vitamins. But the truth is if you look at what causes vaginal lubrication, and this is science. This is not just, we know exactly what's made up in vaginal lubricant, and vitamins have absolutely no impact. So take them if you want.
You're telling me, Doc, let me jump. So you're telling me that like 3,000 years ago, like if a chick just had a dry vagina, she just had a dry vagina, she couldn't go eat like some banana or some special plant?
That was her life expectancy was about 38, and she died before her vagina got dry.
God.
No, we're talking about like a 22-year-old chick with a dry vagina. She was just, that was it for her.
Well, she wasn't taking birth control pills. I mean, when you look at women who are young who have dryness, more often than not, it's something that's causing that, whether it's a medication or a birth control pill or something. So typically women who are in their 20s and 30s are not going to have dryness. They're biologically good to go. It's women who have done something that are going to get in the way of that, or who are a little bit older and their hormones have changed.
Let's go to man, I hate that it's all fucking dudes on here. Let's go to Nick in Jersey. You're the last one. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, hello, Doc. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, that's good. My question is, I've had a few sexual partners, and some were vegetarians and some weren't. And I don't know if it was just me, but, like, I noticed a taste difference in their vagina. Like, does being a vegetarian have anything to do with, like, how the vagina tastes or anything?
Yeah, well, it's funny because we were talking so much about vitamins, and a lot of times vitamins can impact on taste a little bit. So, first of all, everyone tastes different. Just like when you kiss someone, their mouth is going to taste different. Their vaginas are going to taste different. So it's fine that everyone has a little bit different taste. The only concern is if it's unpleasant, if it's something that doesn't smell good or taste good, that's when you have to say, what's going on here? And it may be that, like I said, the pH is off or they have an infection. But vitamins or medication can sometimes be the culprit for that as well. But everyone tastes a little different.
Dr. Lauren Streicher, she's a gynecologist. She wrote an awesome book. It's called Love, Sex Again. It was really great to have you on here.
Yes.
Thanks so much for answering all the questions for everybody.
Yes.
You can go to drstreicher.com. That's drstreicher.com, or you can buy the book off of Amazon. And I think it's important that everybody knows a bit about a vagina. So everybody should go check it out. Dr. Streicher, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Lauren, I would like to strike your vagina one day.
I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care, Doc.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.